to a message. That's what our next guest did when he was diagnosed with colon cancer. Local author Paul Weigel wrote a book called Iron Dad, a cancer survivor's story of discovering strength, life, and love through fatherhood. You were diagnosed with colon cancer while you were training for some really intense physical races. Talk to me about the moment in that time when you were diagnosed with this, because everybody can only imagine how scary that must have been for you.
Nice to be here, Heidi. Yet I cannot ever begin to explain how horrible and overwhelming the moment was when I learned I had cancer. My doctor didn't say you have cancer. He said you have a tumor, you have a mass. So it took a bit to try and sort that out. But then all I could think of was all those moments I was never going to see of my daughter. She was only 3 years old. When I see her get to kindergarten, make it to her first dance, homecoming, college graduation, having her own kids, that was just apocalyptic.
Yeah, we tend to jump from where we are to worst case scenario anytime we get bad health news. It was pretty drastic health news, which is why you are such an advocate now of detection and preventative measures that we can all be taking to prevent colon cancer. The statistics are not looking really good here in our country.
They are not, and that is one of the things that is so critically important. Colorectal cancer is now the #1 leading cause of cancer deaths for men, and the #2 leading cause of cancer deaths for women. And that number increases by at least 1% every year. The ironic part is that it's curable, or it's identifiable, that if you get screened, you get tested up front, all of these issues and challenges really can go away, and those numbers can just decrease just as fast.
So you were diagnosed after a colonoscopy, is that right?
I was, yes.
Okay.
I was diagnosed after a colonoscopy. I had actually had symptoms for several years, and they probably looked and said that my tumor had been in my body upwards of 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
But it was because doctors were not willing to look and dig deeper into some of my symptoms because they just assumed a young, healthy man could not have that happen.
That's a scary idea to think that if you had ignored it any longer, what could have happened, but instead you're diagnosed. You choose to keep training for an Ironman. Talk to me how those two things went together, because most people would say, I got to put that on hold for a little bit.
I've always been one that juggles a lot, and obviously that's a big one, but I had a tremendous motivation for my daughter, Natalie, and that's the point of Iron Dad, is she has been so important to me, and I honestly thought I was going to die, and I desperately wanted her to have a memory of me. She might remember just a little bit of it, but that she would know that her dad wasn't a quitter once I was gone.
Yeah. And this book was intended just to be for her, right?
Right, yeah. I started with I had a blog when I was going through treatment. I put it on a shelf, didn't look at it for almost 10 years. And she started asking more and different questions now that she's becoming a young adult.
Yeah.
And I started writing the story to explain to her. And the next thing you know, there's great momentum where Livestrong is talking about it. I had a great interview with Katie Couric, Maria Schreiber, so that it's so important of an issue that there's great momentum for us to be able to help save lives.
It's really an incredible story, and I hope a lot of people read it and are inspired by it to pay attention to their health, get those uncomfortable tests taken care of. They're not fun, we know that, but they are so, so important. And one thing to note that's particularly impressive to me is you actually ran a race with your chemotherapy pack on. Just incredible, the decision to do that. I bet your doctors thought you were a little crazy.
You know, sometimes the borderline between exceptional and crazy is very tight.
Right there.
And so, yeah, so I probably pushed one way or another, but yes, I did.
Paul, thank you so much. For more information on Iron Dad, a cancer survivor's story of discovering strength, life, and love through fatherhood, visit our website, sonoranliving.com.